Just looking back at this past weekend, obviously the SEC is a league that is hard to go on the road. It's hard to win in this league anyway, but it's hard to go on the road and get a victory. And particularly, we had some concerns just because, not that we hadn't done it before, but anytime you travel for the first time with a team, then you put on top of that uh, the kickoffs at 11 a.m. in the morning, and those things, the logistics of it pose a problem in terms of coaching to address those things mentally well in advance. And so that started a long time ago of trying to indoctrinate these guys that it doesn't matter who we play, what time we play, or where we play, we play. And I think that it appears that they have bought into that. We're not fully to the full process finish of it, but it appears that they listened to those words and took heed to them, and that it doesn't matter what time you play, it doesn't matter where you play, and it doesn't matter who you play in, because they certainly they did what we asked them to do. They came out and played with great effort. There were times in the game in which we played really, really good, particularly the first half. There's a lot of broken up passes. We scored on defense. We created some turnovers. We were effective on third down. We've got some teaching moments on the tape later in the game in which we had two missed tackles that we just don't miss tackles like that. We had a couple of issues in terms of just getting our eyes where they needed to be and getting lined up. And we did mix and match some players out there, but that's no excuse. We're not going to do that. So we've got some teaching moments in it. Today we went out. Obviously, the next game is a long way away. We, as coaches, we have started the process of Arkansas. We did not do that with our players yet. We're totally focused on trying to improve each and every individual in terms of physicality, in terms of understanding the game, technique. So we went out today, and they were all there. Everybody was there. Some guys were a little limited in what they could do, but not much. So we had them all there, and we got some things done in terms of the physicality and the run fits and those things which are much needed. It came at a perfect time, and that we need it. And the next team that we play is obviously very effective at running the football and throwing it now. The quarterback throws it pretty well, and he's pretty accurate. So it's kind of where we're at.
Questions? Yeah, just that first defensive series, the quick change, the interception, just how important was that for setting the tone, do you think, for you guys defensively, and obviously maybe for the game as a whole?
Well, I think it's huge, because anytime there's a turnover at the 19-yard line with very little time off the clock, first possession, if you're on the road and you go down by 7, then you're behind the 8 ball. And if you go down by 3, there's still a momentum there. And we went out and stopped them. We actually gave them 5 yards because we had an offsides penalty. So we played third down twice, and then on fourth down affected the field goal with the rush and got things turned around. And we went down and scored. So that was a big swing. It was big, but we do talk about that a lot. We try to indoctrinate them with the fact that just play the next play. It doesn't matter where they put it down. That's not our job. We don't control that. Wherever we're firemen, go put the fire out. And so they've responded that way a couple of times.
For the second defensive line group in particular, a significant amount of reps out there with Jeff and Derek, Byron, Andrew. How do you think that group did?
Well, they got better. There's some good teaching moments on there. I don't think they affected the quarterback quite as much as that first group did, obviously. And they were up until late. We were pretty good in the run game with them. So, but there was good video on them. There were good teaching moments in it, and they got better. They improved from weeks past, and that was our goal, to try to make sure everybody improved weekly, and they did do that. And there was some good, meaningful snaps, and where they needed to be in there where, okay, we're calling the whole game plan, and we did, and they're having to adjust and play. And I think that was probably the thing that stuck out the most, that they applied the game plan.
You talked about a couple of weeks ago that Byron was progressing. I know production doesn't always show up in the box score, Kevin, but 4 tackles through 6 games. And I know he's not in
Right.
the starting role, but nevertheless, are you okay with this production right now?
Well, I mean, obviously, you got to kind of see this. Where was the ball run? Was it at the point of attack? Should he made the play? And what he did is, I mean, he made the plays that, I mean, he's been involved in the plays that he's supposed to be involved in. There wasn't anything where he gave up anything. So that's a starting point. And as he gains confidence, I think then he'll start to, he's still learning that position in terms of what we're asking him to do. So I think as he matures and grows older, it just happens different for different people. I think he'll be fine.
How have you seen Jeff Holland, improve throughout this year as he got more comfortable?
Well, Jeff gives us some things in the pass game. We've challenged him to be more effective in the run game, and there's plays when he's done that, but we still got to keep improving it.
How pleased are you with the progression of the pass rush as a whole? Obviously, Carl's come on late, Marlon and Mon have both had really solid games.
Well, I think it goes back to weeks past where we talked that the sacks will come. It doesn't always reflect in sack, although you want them. But do you affect the quarterback? And I think this week with the 3 sacks, the 7 pass deflections, I think he scrambled, twice, maybe 3 times. All in all, what I'm telling you is that they called 41 pass plays. There were 41 called pass plays. And on 20 of those pass plays, we affected the quarterback either with a pass deflection, an interception, a sack, or made him scramble or throw it away. And so with a quarterback pressure. So we're getting to where when you start doing that 50% of the throws, you're making progress. And I think that's the 3rd game in a row that we've been pretty close to 50% of call throws.
Can you talk about Marlon Davidson? He seems like he's still continuing to improve.
Well, the guy, number one, is we've talked before, he's very, very intelligent. He's very mentally mature. He's very physically mature. But the biggest thing is the guy is emotionally mature. It's like he's been around here for 3 years. He has a huge motor. I mean, the guy plays relentless. He plays from sideline to sideline and does his job before he has to release and do that. There were several plays in that game that he made from a defensive end position on a screen outside to the sideline, a quick screen, in which he made the tackle for a 2-yard gain. And that's just kind of player. He plays with a great motor.
Travius has another big game, another big performance, and I know you can't answer for the past, but the knock on him in years past was consistency, lack of consistency. Being more consistent will raise his level, not just the performance, but with the
Right.
NFL level, et cetera. How do you explain how he's been able to do this now through 6 games to get to this level? What have you seen from him to get to this point?
Well, I think he would tell you. I'm not going to speak about a player in the past or whether they did good or didn't do well or whether they need to improve, in depth. But I will tell you this. I think Mon would tell you that he needed to step up and make more plays and be more productive. I think he felt that way, and I think he'd tell you that. In fact, I think there's been times where he's kind of said that to you guys. How he's done it is, I think it's just the process of the way we've gone about trying to develop those guys. Rodney does a good job of it, but of just continuously hammering home technique and eyes and leverage and hand placement and just demanding that the technique be applied. That's been part of it, but I think too that there's been a maturity of him in terms of, that's where he's at in the process right now. He's decided, okay, I've got all this talent. I'm going to be the best I can be, and he's applying the trade and improving his trade. So, he's pretty productive right now. I mean, the thing that goes unnoticed about Mon right now, everybody sees the fumble recoveries, everybody sees the score, everybody sees the quarterback pressures, they see the tackles for losses, which he's had in games. But the thing that sticks out as much to me is he is commanding double teams inside now. They have to double him, and that's huge because when you got guys that they have to double, it makes run fits a whole lot easier.
Jim, what do you make of how Javaris has played the first 6 games, considering this is the first 6 games he ever played as a redshirt last year?
Yeah, well, I think probably the first thing would be he would fit in the category of that. Those guys have done a really good job, and it's hard of staying on top of the coverage, staying on top of things, and they've done that each game, 6, 15, 31. They've done that. Javaris has done a great job of keeping the top on the coverage and being in position to break up passes. We've challenged them now to go the next step. Now that we're keeping the top on coverage, we're breaking up the passes. How about catch some of them? So, but he's doing very well.
It might sound obvious, but how much does the elite speed that he has help him in, like you're trying to say, keeping the top on the coverage?
Well, speed doesn't always keep the top on the coverage because I've seen some fast guys get run by before, and because they got their back to the goal line. The other guy's got his face to it, and that's not the way they start a race in track. You know, you don't put a guy beside you facing down the track and you turn face that way and shoot the gun. That's not the way they run track meets. So speed to that point says, okay, we got a problem here because we don't run the 100 meters that way. So your speed is kind of negated because you're turned around backwards. So you've got to apply technique. And you got to apply it every down because you don't know when they're going to try to knock the top off the coverage. And you know, he's really, you know, Wesley does a good job of coaching technique, but he's applied that technique very well.
Javaris, you think he hasn't lived up to his own expectations so far this year? Is there a specific area where you'd like to see him improve?
Well, there is. I mean, we give them a list. Like today, we gave everybody out there 2 things they need to improve on. And we got more, but let's just take care of 2 today. So there is, you know, that's kind of between he and I. But the thing that I think is good that you have a football team that has started to experience success, and they kind of we encourage it. If you get addicted to success, then you want more of it. Then you know how to work to get it. And I think when somebody tells you that, hey, I'm not where I want to be, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Your linebacker play on Saturday, it seemed like Mississippi State's always wanted to run the quarterback a little bit, and those second level guys would be crucial
Right.
for that, and it seemed like he never got going.
Yeah, well, the first we list a list of must, and those musts are the first thing they see when we go in and put the game plan in. So it's the first thing. We must do these things. The first must, and it's also the last thing they see before they go out, because I talked to the team before the game with a screen in there, and we lay those must up there, and this is what we got to do. So they see it. The first thing they see it. The last thing, the number one thing this week was we have to affect the quarterback both in the running game and the passing game, and we couldn't let him get going. And they'd done a really good job doing that with the Q power and those things. And that really never got going. Now he did have had a mistake, and he popped out the backside there on I think a 19-yard run late in the third quarter. But other than that, you know, we did affect him, and I think it was key to the game, the real key.
What have your impressions been from Carlton Davis? He broke up a few passes when they actually went after him.
Well, Carlton is very technique sound. He's got that skill set that it's not too big for him to be put on the best wide receiver and say, okay, you got to take care of this. You know, he embraces that challenge and has done a good job in multiple games of staying on top of the best guy, staying on top of the coverage, and he's got a knack for getting to the ball.
Yeah, the big picture, 6 games in, are you able to take a step back and kind of just see where your unit is as a whole? And statistically, I know there's still 6 games to go, but statistically, coming at this point, this defense is doing things that this program hasn't seen in over a decade, since 2004, and an undefeated season. Just are you able to just give a big picture assessment of just what your team is doing, what your defense is doing right now?
Right. Well, we do in the open date. We do a self-scout of ourselves. We also do a statistical, you know, average of where everything is. in all those key categories, from turnovers to third down to rush defense and pass defense and red zone. So, yes, we do study that, and we make markers of where we've got to improve, where we can get better, where we've left some, for lack of a better term, some meat on the bone, if you will, where those numbers would even be better if we had done this and done that. And that's kind of where we build this week. We build this week on those things. For example, I think we've kind of gone down, and we've played some good offenses. There's some good rushing offenses, but LSU, Clemson, pretty good at running the football, and A&M with their new offense is pretty good at running the football. But statistically, we're not where we want to be in rush defense, but yet we're seeing improvement. So we went back and did a study. Okay, where's that improvement coming from? Why is it coming? Is it coming just because the team changed, or are we actually getting better at doing the things we need to do to stop the run? So it is something we look at. Now, is it the end all to be all? No, it's not. Do we make sure that we know we got a lot of work to do? But it does give us some indication of that we're making progress.
Do you think that this level of results thus far was possible through 6 games? When you're putting in a new staff, et cetera, through 6 games?
Well, you take it one play at a game, one game at a time. But I could stand here and tell you that I didn't think we could be here, or I hoped we would be here. The truth of the matter is I think every player and every coach want to be able to look at something and say, you know what, we're doing this pretty well, or we're making progress, we're getting better. We've got a lot of ways we can improve, but we've done a really nice job to this point in some areas of growth. Now, how can we make it better? So did I think necessarily we could be that? Yes. Did I know exactly how it was going to unfold? No.
How important was it, last one? How important was it for Steven Roberts to get that interception there, kind of bounce back after getting beyond that first touchdown for Mississippi State?
Well, he didn't get beat. He was behind him. Missed tackle. Yeah. So there's a little bit different psyche there. Missed tackles bring on a little bit more wrath than it's hard to play DB, and occasionally you get matched up and somebody gets a little bit on top of the coverage and catch it next play, and we'll talk about the technique later. Missed tackles, no, we don't talk about the techniques later. We talk about them pretty rapidly.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
All right, thank you.